At 99 years old, Mel Brooks has reached a stage of life where reflection replaces restraint. The creator of some of the most daring comedies in film history no longer feels obligated to smooth the edges of memory or protect old Hollywood myths. In rare, candid moments, Brooks has spoken openly about collaboration, creativity, and the personalities that shaped his long career. His reflections are not fueled by bitterness, but by clarity earned over decades. Brooks never framed these memories as grudges, but as lessons in compatibility, temperament, and creative philosophy. Comedy, to him, was never accidental. It was constructed with rhythm, trust, and mutual respect. When those elements failed to align, even extraordinary talent could not bridge the gap. What emerges from his late-life honesty is not scandal, but a portrait of an artist who valued harmony over hierarchy and story over ego. Jerry Lewis and the limits of genius Mel Brooks held deep respect for Jerry Lewis's influence on comedy, recognizing him as a relentless innovator who reshaped slapstick for generations. Yet admiration for talent did not guarantee creative compatibility. Brooks believed comedy required shared control, while Lewis thrived as a singular force, often reshaping material instinctively. When Lewis was briefly suggested for a supporting role in a later Brooks project, the idea stalled before it began. Brooks understood that Lewis's intense creative presence could overwhelm the collaborative balance he carefully maintained. Their single meeting confirmed the divide, not through conflict, but through contrast. Lewis dominated conversation with vision and certainty, while Brooks listened quietly and reached a conclusion without confrontation. There was no fallout, only acceptance. Brooks never spoke ill of Lewis publicly, acknowledging instead that some artists are too powerful to coexist within the same structure. For Brooks, even brilliance required alignment, and alignment was absent. Comedy as an ensemble, not a spotlight. Mel Brooks built comedy like an architect designed space, every element serving the whole. He believed the funniest moments emerged not from domination, but from generosity. His films thrived on ensembles where actors elevated one another rather than competed for attention. This philosophy shaped every casting choice and creative decision. Brooks welcomed strong personalities, but only those willing to submit to the rhythm of the group. Comedy, in his eyes, demanded humility alongside confidence. He often said timing mattered more than ego, and listening mattered as much as delivery. When performers treated scenes as personal showcases rather than shared moments, the balance collapsed. Brooks never punished ambition, but he resisted environments where individual presence eclipsed collective purpose. His reflections reveal a consistent principle: talent opens the door, but trust keeps it open. Without that trust, even the most gifted performers remained outside his creative universe. Gene Wilder and a creative separation. No professional relationship meant more to Mel Brooks than his partnership with Gene Wilder. Together, they created films that redefined comedy, blending chaos with sincerity in a way audiences had never seen before. Wilder's emotional precision complemented Brooks's wild imagination, producing something rare and enduring. Yet after Young Frankenstein, their paths quietly diverged. Wilder hoped Brooks would support a project he wished to direct, but Brooks, acting from caution rather than dismissal, declined. What Brooks saw as protection, Wilder felt as rejection. The misunderstanding created distance, not through argument, but through silence. Their collaboration ended without drama, leaving behind gratitude tinged with loss. Brooks later described it as watching a shared language fade. When they met again years later, warmth remained, but the instinctive bond was gone. The separation was not fueled by conflict, but by expectations unmet on both sides. The weight of unspoken disappointment. Mel Brooks rarely discussed emotional fractures, preferring humor over introspection. Yet those closest to him sensed that the fading of his partnership with Gene Wilder lingered quietly. Their collaboration had been intuitive, almost wordless, and its absence left a noticeable space in Brooks's creative world. He never sought to replace Wilder, nor did he attempt to recreate their dynamic with someone else. Instead, he adapted, refining his approach and protecting his creative circle more carefully. Brooks believed trust, once broken or withdrawn, could not simply be restored by goodwill alone. He accepted the loss with maturity, understanding that even meaningful partnerships can have natural endings. Rather than dwell on what might have been, he focused on honoring what they had built together. His reflections carry no resentment, only a recognition that timing and alignment are as fragile as they are powerful. Chevy Chase and the question of balance. Throughout the 1980s, studios frequently suggested Chevy Chase for Mel Brooks's films, citing his popularity and sharp comedic edge. Brooks consistently declined, not out of dislike, but out of concern for balance. Chase's humor was highly self-aware, rooted in irony and detachment, while Brooks favored sincerity within absurdity. Brooks believed comedy worked best when performers fully committed to the moment rather than standing above it. Observing Chase's reputation for dominating scenes, Brooks questioned whether ensemble harmony could survive. He valued performers who could shine and then step back, allowing rhythm to flow naturally. In one brief meeting, Brooks sensed no shared musicality, no intuitive exchange. The interaction remained polite, but unremarkable. Brooks later remarked that some comedians command attention, while others create space. For his films, space mattered more than spotlight. Ensemble chemistry over star power. Mel Brooks resisted the idea that recognizable names automatically improved a project. He believed star power meant little without chemistry. His casting philosophy prioritized collaboration over celebrity, timing over reputation. While Chevy Chase possessed undeniable skill, Brooks felt his presence might tilt the equilibrium of the ensemble. Brooks wanted actors who listened as intently as they performed. Comedy, to him, was a conversation, not a monologue. When performers approached scenes as opportunities to outshine rather than connect, the energy shifted. Brooks avoided that shift deliberately. He often said the audience could sense generosity, even subconsciously. His films succeeded because they felt alive, not competitive. Declining certain actors was never personal, but practical. Brooks trusted instinct honed by decades of directing and writing. When instinct said no, he listened, regardless of pressure from studios or trends. Harvey Korman and creative friction. Harvey Korman and Mel Brooks shared immense respect, but their working styles occasionally clashed. Korman thrived on improvisation, while Brooks meticulously shaped every beat. During high anxiety, this difference became apparent. Korman sought flexibility, exploring variations, while Brooks guarded timing with precision. Neither approach was wrong, but together they created tension. Brooks valued structure, believing comedy collapsed without it. Korman valued spontaneity, trusting instinct to elevate material. The set remained professional, but energy shifted. Brooks adjusted communication, narrowing direction to preserve rhythm. Korman delivered a flawless performance despite the strain, proving his professionalism. Afterward, both men acknowledged the limits of their collaboration without animosity. Brooks later credited Korman's brilliance, while accepting that brilliance sometimes arrives with friction. Their separation was not rejection, but recognition, an understanding that respect does not always require repetition. Frank Langella and tonal mismatch. When Mel Brooks began developing Dracula, Dead and Loving It, he sought a balance between classic horror and absurd comedy. Frank Langella, renowned for his dramatic portrayal of Dracula, initially seemed ideal. Yet rehearsals revealed a tonal divide. Langella approached the role with solemn intensity, while Brooks envisioned rapid-fire physical comedy anchored by seriousness without heaviness. Brooks attempted gentle guidance, encouraging looseness, but Langella remained rooted in dramatic gravity. Neither man was wrong. They simply operated in different registers. Recognizing the mismatch early, Brooks chose to recast quietly and respectfully. Leslie Nielsen ultimately embodied the tone Brooks needed, delivering sincerity that amplified absurdity. Langella departed without conflict, maintaining dignity on both sides. Brooks later reflected that comedy demands vulnerability as much as control. When tone misaligns, adjustment is not failure, but fidelity to the vision. A life guided by creative truth. Mel Brooks's reflections at 99 are not about grievances, but clarity. He never framed these experiences as hatred or resentment, only as moments where creative philosophies diverged. His career endured because he trusted instinct, protected joy, and valued collaboration above ego. Brooks understood that even legends cannot work together without shared rhythm. His honesty now feels earned, stripped of malice, grounded in perspective. He remains grateful for every artist who crossed his path, even those he never worked with. In the end, Brooks built a body of work defined not by controversy, but by cohesion. His late-life candor reveals an artist at peace with his choices, confident that comedy thrives where trust lives.